Well, and this is what's fun. If you're watching the webcast, we're actually going to be able to play some of the video for this so that people can actually see what we're talking about. So this is kind of part of the interactivity here at CoasterRadio.com. But for all of you who are listening on the podcast, Railblazer at California's Great America is basically kind of a mirrored version of what we saw a couple weeks ago with Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster that's going to Six Flags Fiesta, Texas.
Yes, and it really is, because when I was when this was announced, you were kind of building the show rundown as we were discussing what we were going to be talking about on the show, and you put that in there, and I clicked on it, and I go in, and it actually is a mirror, because I was trying to find images to match, and no, they don't match. Everything I could find on the internet, they're shooting it from both sides. And it is a flip-flop.
Yeah, you're right. It's basically kind of the off-the-shelf model that RMC is giving of these single rail roller coasters. But here's what I like about what California's Great America is doing. Let's go through the stats here real quick. 106 feet, 90-degree angle drop, 1,800 feet of track, and 52 miles per hour. So it's the basic one that kind of comes off the line. It's got 3 inversions and a zero gravity roll. Here's what I like about it. This one, to me at least, from what I've been able to see from the point of view video that they released, much better themed and better colors. Like, one thing that I love is that 90-degree drop goes right into like a rock tunnel. That's very cool.
They have this cool cave thing that's happening, and when you go up on the tallest hill, you go over the midway, it looks like, where you can look down. Yeah, I guess. I mean, this one, it's all about being the single rail coaster for me.
Yeah.
Right? That looks really cool. Everybody is shouting capacity, capacity, capacity. It's gonna be something they're gonna struggle with unless they can get operations really smooth, because they can put multiple trains on this thing, but only if they can get people into those cars and push them out the door.
Yeah. So I like the looks of this. I think it's good. I think it's good for a park like California's Great America. We always said it was going to go to a park that doesn't have gigantic attendance. For a ride like this, which is like single seating and stuff, you can't have huge attendance because you're going to have gigantic lines.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do find it interesting that this ride is shorter technically than the Wonder Woman ride, because the Wonder Woman ride is 113 feet. And I don't know, it's kind of like, where do they measure this and how do they set this up? But I thought that was kind of funny. The other thing that I thought was cool, and I didn't realize it when I saw the Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster, but when I watched the POV and I watched the video of the Railblazer, I saw this. The single rail design adds something in that you can't tell where the coaster goes based on the rail itself, the track.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you normally look at a roller coaster, you can tell it goes on this part of the track, and then it goes upside down here, and then it goes around here. But when you look at the rail, like there's a point on Railblazer, and I'm assuming also on Golden Lasso, where the support of the ride looks like the coaster's going to crash into it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because it's the same on the top and the bottom. And so when it does an inversion, you put a support there. It looks like look at the POV again, and you'll see that there's this weird spot where, from an observer, the rail is upside down.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the POV now as we're doing the show. I think I know right where you're talking about. Also, an interesting thing about this version of the rail coaster, it's kind of got that drop where the magnetic brakes are at the top to give you that kind of hang over the top.
Give you a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. It's a quick ride, though. It's very fast. I mean, you're talking about, a little over a minute and stuff. But so I wonder how fast they're going to be able to move those trains through. I hope. Yeah,
quickly. if they can launch the next coaster at the brake run of the first one.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they can, because there's not a lot of people on this ride. So you should be able to get 8 people into this thing and buckle them in by the time this coaster finishes its circuit.
Yeah, I think so. So I was going back a couple weeks ago. I was listening to old episodes of CoasterRadio.com from the very first season of Coaster Radio. And that was back in the days where, like, we kind of talked about the only parks we knew, which were like ones that were right in our backyard. So we talked about King's Dominion an awful lot back in those days. I remember us discussing Hurler so much, but the reason we talked about Hurler so much is because we said it had that Wayne's World theme, or what was left over from the Wayne's World theme. Remember that?
Yes.
And we were like, what are they doing? What are they going to do with this area? It's so weird. Like,
It was already not Wayne's World when we started CoasterRadio.com way back in the day.
Yeah. So now they have finally done something with this ride, but the big announcement was Twisted Timbers. I'm liking the looks of this because it looks like an airtime machine, EB.
Yeah, this is an RMC treatment of a ride that it's a ride that's also at Kentucky Kingdom, right? So this is this is pretty cool that they've done this to Hurler because it needed help. It needed a refurb, or it needed to be torn down and rebuilt as something else. But I think they have success here because, airtime machine, absolutely. 20 airtime moments?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, another cool thing is at the top of the hill, it's got a 109-foot tall barrel roll drop.
Yeah, they've got that inverted drop that they did at Storm Chaser, again at Kentucky Kingdom.
Yeah, so they're bringing that here too. 3,300 feet of track, 2 additional inversions after the barrel roll drop. Like you mentioned, 20 airtime hills. I mean, you just look, they use a lot of Hurler's original kind of layout. Hurler had a lot of these airtime hills as well, so but it looks like they're taking them a lot faster than Hurler did, and a top speed of 54 miles an hour. So a lot of really cool like overbank turns in this ride. But I think we're just going to be coming out of our seat a lot. I mean, this looks like a good fix for Hurler, which was not. I've been to King's Dominion now, the past 5 or 6 years. Hurler was not putting people in the seats at all.
No, it was a ride you would definitely skip. So I really feel like, and we'll talk about this with Mean Streak at Cedar Point and how they've dealt with that roller coaster. But at King's Dominion with Hurler, this is fixing a ride that was failing.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the good ones, Mike. Like, we started in the muck and we're rising out of it now. We're like the fish that has feet. We're evolving. We're getting into the good stuff.
Coming out of the primordial ooze.
There you go.
That's what we're doing. You said this at the top of the show, one of the most interesting rides. I think the ride that has the people talking the most in terms of what will this attraction be like is Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. Looks so interesting to me.
I like this ride a lot. It's got a weird name, and it cost way too much money, but I really like this.
Yeah, what are we talking about? $26 million for this ride, which we sort of knew ahead of time.
Yeah, they said it was going to be the biggest announcement. In the announced video, they talked about how $26 million this year, but over the past several years, $50 million when you include the whole the fire station kiddie area that they built, and then of course Outlaw Run. $50 million in the last 4 years of this park.
Yeah, here's what we're talking about. It's the fastest, steepest, and tallest complete circuit spinning coaster in the world.
Right. And again, we're getting into some very specific records, because when he said complete circuit, I was like, wait a minute, is there a tallest, fastest, not complete circuit?
Yeah.
I need to look this up.
I know, that's what I wanted to know. What was the non-complete circuit one that beats it?
Exactly.
Here's what they're talking about. It's going to have a 95-foot tall loop.
Yep.
So that's something you don't see.
That's really cool. And 2 different tracks go through the middle of that loop.
Yeah, so that's very cool. It's got 2 launches. One that goes from 0 to 47 miles per hour in 3 seconds, and one that goes from 30 to 45 miles per hour in 3 seconds.
Wait, that's dumb.
So yeah, you.
I need to interrupt you there.
Yeah. There's something about the second one that got you, right?
Yes, 0 to 47 is really cool. So yeah, this ride, we haven't talked about it yet, but there's also the gravity drop. So you load in the station, and this ride was built on the cliffside in the mountains, in the Ozarks, and as soon as you leave the station, you just boom down that first drop straight down.
Yeah.
And then you kind of do some elements and whatever, but then you kind of go up to this launch area. The train actually stops, full stop, then launch.
Yes.
From 0 to 47. That's really cool.
Yeah. Now, I was surprised at that point when I saw it. I said, why isn't there some good theming around it at that point?
How come you don't go into some sort of Verbolten shed, right?
Yeah. And in fact, I even thought when
I want to travel through time. That's where I travel through time. I leave the shed, then I go to that thing, and that's when I travel through time.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw the building. I thought that might have been in the middle of the ride, that you come into that building, there's some type of show element, and then you go down the 90-degree drop. That actually is the station. So, and throughout the rest of this ride, you're going around the mountainside, but there is no show building that you go into, no theming, at least in this POV video. It's just you're kind of going around the whole mountainside the whole time.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet. So you do get the good big launch in the middle, then you launch, and then why even talk about the second launch? That second launch is nothing. That second launch is just getting you back up, into the station, getting you back up to speed. 3 seconds to 30 to 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's 15 miles an hour in 3 seconds. Mike, people can run almost that fast.
That's true.
15 miles an hour in 3 seconds. Come on, stop it.
That is true. I'm looking.
Don't talk about the exciting launch.
Yeah, the interesting thing in the video that people are talking about is they're saying it looks like a vomit-inducing ride. But what is interesting is these 360-degree spinning vehicles have magnetic spin control. So the ride actually is controlled. The spins are controlled. It's not just free spinning the whole time.
No, and well, I guess it's free spinning, but they have the magnetic brakes to control it so it's not too extreme. Is the way it works.
Yeah,
and they had the guy from Mach Rides, excuse me, not Mac Rides. The guy from Mach Rides was on stage with Silver Dollar City explaining this, and I was going through this, and it has magnets and it slows it down. Yeah. So don't worry. And then the Silver Dollar City guy, and I think he was recognizing throughout his entire presentation, he was recognizing the fact that inside the venue that they were doing this at Silver Dollar City, there were both casual fans, coaster enthusiasts, locals, but then also local press who knew nothing about roller coasters. And he kept pointing out, like, we're going to talk about some elements and things you're not going to understand. Don't worry about it. And then he was also talking about, don't worry, it's not going to spin that much. It's not going to spin too crazy.
Yeah, but the big ride that I think right now is leading our poll, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point.
Definitely.
Looks pretty amazing. The stats here, a height of 205 feet, a speed of 74 miles an hour. That first drop is 200 feet. It makes it the largest hybrid roller coaster.
Hyper hybrid.
4 inversions, 5,700 feet of track, a long ride time, too, just like Main Street, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow, this ride is so long.
Yeah, it's a long ride, too. And then Cedar Point loves its records. That's what's kind of funny. So they are talking about all of these like coaster records that it broke, but also park records. So I'll try to go through these really fast for you here, just so you know. It's the world's tallest hybrid coaster, the world's fastest hybrid coaster, world's steepest drop on a hybrid coaster at 90 degrees,
right?
The longest drop, the longest hybrid roller coaster, most inversions on a hybrid roller coaster. It just goes on and on and on. But then they start talking about the records at Cedar Point. They're talking about the most steel roller coaster track at one park. 11 miles. 11 miles, EB, of steel roller coaster.
They were talking all about hybrid roller coasters, and now they're putting it as a steel?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I'm not sure what this means.
Yeah, the most roller coaster track at one amusement park at 11.4 miles.
Yeah, and they've held that one for a while.
Yep. The most rides at one amusement park at 71.
That's a lot.
Yep.
It's a 2-day park.
Yeah. The most roller coasters over 200 feet tall at one amusement park.
That's a weird record.
Yeah.
But okay.
And then look, this is a very interesting stat. The most roller coasters with the first...
Another one where they're kind of stretching a
little. The most roller coasters with the first drop of 90 degrees or more at one amusement park. I mean, that's kind of an interesting stat there, don't you think?
5. Yeah, so they have 5. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, now,
but no, it shows that it is a thrill park. It is a roller coaster park. It's the roller coaster capital, and it is a thrills and roller coaster park. And those stats, I suppose, are important for that. 200 feet tall, 6 roller coasters that are 200 feet tall, 5 roller coasters with 90-degree drops or more. They've got a lot of rides and the most roller coaster track. Yeah, you gotta tout that if you want to be the roller coaster capital of the world.
Yeah. Now, I was surprised. I was actually holding out hope that maybe RMC was going to do something interesting with the top of Mean Streak. We had seen them build the lift all the way to a certain height, and then it looked like they stopped, and there was rumor going around, would they do some type of tilt track at the top there? Would they do something that tilted a little bit and then tilted down and then let you continue the ride? That, according to everything we've seen, is not happening. The POV mentions nothing of that. This really looks kind of exactly like what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's Mean Streak with RMC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They do a little bit more. I mean, this is the thing I'm excited about the most, is they do more inside the structure than Mean Streak used to do. And that is just really weird and really unique. I mean, if the POV that they released is anything like the real thing, that is so weird. That whole second half of the ride is totally underneath and inside the structure. That's going to be an experience. The speed that you're going to experience inside that wood, I mean, that is going to be cool.
To me, that is the best part of this ride. There are inversions inside the structure, and it's just going to be so disorienting and so amazing.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, where the speed of a roller coaster, if you're out in the open and you're up and you're high up and you don't really have stuff around you, you don't experience it. When you're down low, a terrain coaster at 50 miles an hour feels like 100. So this thing inside the wooden structure of Mean Streak, it's going to feel like it's bonkers. And this thing is way too long. It's still too long.
It's long,
man.
This
is going to be an experience. It's going to be something to behold.
Can you imagine, like, we have talked about this in the past couple of years, like how, like, maybe 2016 and 2017 were really down years, especially for roller coasters. We weren't getting fantastic ones. We were getting decent ones, but not fantastic ones.
Yeah.
I'm loving what we're getting so far in 2018.
I mean, this might be a big deal. I mean, this is RMC coming into their own. They're two pretty good rides, but especially the Steel Vengeance is going to be the best of all RMCs.
Yeah.
But they're also debuting the new technology. I mean, this is not just topper track, or we're converting a wooden roller coaster and putting steel on top of it and putting inversions. This is their new thing, Raptor Track. The only thing that can top Raptor Track, I think, is T-Rex Track.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see in 2019.
Yeah.
So, yes, 2018 I think is going to be awesome. 2019 I think is going to be even better, because I think some parks are going to be looking at Raptor and saying, it works, let's do T-Rex.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, though? One thing we haven't talked about this is the amount of airtime on this roller coaster. I mean, we talked about Twisted Timbers having those 20 airtime moments. This has the most airtime of any roller coaster anywhere in the world at 27.2 seconds.
Yeah, and what does that mean? I mean, we always talk about airtime. We talked about this with 20 airtime moments on Twisted Timbers. Is this just they put some sort of like device and then they measure negative G's? Right? Like, is this like Roller Coaster Tycoon, where I kind of do the test coaster, the ghost coaster goes through and I measure it? Because airtime, is it anything counts? Like, anytime I go over a hill, does that count?
It's a good question. I think it's anytime you have those,
negative, little bit up.
Yeah, negative G's where you do come out of your seat. I think that counts towards that 27.2 seconds.
I mean, so that's kind of a question that you have to ask, and it really doesn't matter what the stats are as far as time is, because if you have a handful of really good airtime moments, that's better than having a lot of, just slow, low-intensity airtime moments.
Yeah.
And so watching the POV on this ride, is Steel Vengeance going to be that experience that you want, or is it going to be something that they just kind of figured it out and made the stats?
Yeah. That first overbanked hill I think it's going to be at like 71 miles an hour or something like that. That's going to be some ejector air, I think. I mean, imagine that. Like hitting the top of that going so fast after the 200-foot drop.
There's
amazing.
A lot of cool stuff, and RMC really does know. I think RMC must be coaster fans because they know what they're doing. I mean, even if you look at Mean Streak versus Steel Vengeance, when you come out of the station, you go around to the corner, you're coming up to the lift hill. Mean Streak went to the lift hill.
Yeah.
Steel Vengeance goes out of the station, does a couple little hops.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Before you know what I mean? It's like we're going to put as much into this ride as we absolutely can engineer, and they've done that. Steel Vengeance is going to be 2018's best ride.
I think so. It's going to be very hard to top it.
Oh, I can't imagine going through that structure, though. That is going to be the coolest thing. I mean, I've ridden roller coasters that go through the structure, that pass through the structure just for a little bit. This thing goes, it's like a minute. You're just like in a sea of wood.
Yeah.
This is going to be so cool.
It's amazing. And that, to me, was my favorite thing about Mean Streak is this huge, imposing structure of wood.
But they've done so much more.
Yes.
With Steel Vengeance.
Yeah, it's really it's going to be an amazing ride.
Plus, you know what? Redhead hottie cowgirl.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's true.
I hope it's a walk around face character.
I hope so too. You take pictures with her outside and stuff. That's going to be great. You know what's interesting though? I was just thinking about this. Is the only true wooden roller coaster at Cedar Point right now Blue Streak? That's it, right? That's the only wooden roller coaster at America's Roller Coaster. The rest are steel.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's it, right?
Or a hybrid's bike.
Yeah, no. But this is not that. So, I don't know, man.
That is interesting. So yeah, that maybe that's what we're going to be seeing, and then next year and the year after that is putting in a legit real wooden roller coaster.
Yeah.